So I began to learn to love myself. And that, at first, I attached the love for myself to what I did or how much money I made or how successful I was career wise. Because I thought that that would give me the love too, or the I'm proud of you statements from people that meant the most to me. But I realized when that is all gone, who am I? Who am I, just raw Tashell without any of those extra surface things? And that's when I had to really dig into who I am in Christ. That's my true identity. And just learning more about Christ and knowing that who he is in me. Hey y'all, welcome to Catch 22 Podcast. I'm Tashell.
And I'm Chris Williams. You know, you starting off laughing already.
Silly. Today we are going to be talking about something really good, y'all. I mean, I think that a lot of people suffer with this, but not a lot of people are talking about it. What are we talking about? Overcoming people pleasing and setting boundaries. You excited about talking about that today?
I am, but I think before we do that, we need to talk about that last episode. That's what we need to go ahead and just talk about how that came about.
So you want me to tell the story? You're going to tell the story?
You the storyteller. Come on now.
Babe, come on now. So we just wrapped up our first episode and it was amazing. Everything was good. And we went with our producer to look over everything and everything was great. Except there's this box blinking around my face the whole entire episode. I was fine with it immediately because it was so good. I'm all about the message, the chemistry that we had. And Darylyn and Chris were like, yeah, we need to redo that. We need to redo that. Let's do it again. And I was like, I don't think we should do it again. I really don't. And I could tell in their silence, they're like, girl, please, we need to redo that because we know this is the first time, but you don't need to be on this podcast with this square blinking around your face. But for me, I like people to see the imperfections in everything. I do. And the reason why is because I spent so many years of my life trying to be a perfectionist, trying to be perfect in everything that I do. And the reason I want to be perfect was to be loved. And so I'm like, I've evolved from that. And I'm not doing this to show perfection to people because I want people to know we're human and things happen. And, this is our first time doing a podcast. Why not post it to give somebody else hope? Like, okay, you don't have to be perfect. The message is what matters. So that's where I was coming from with it. And guess what? We came to a compromise. So you got to go watch the first episode to know what the compromise was, because I'm not going to tell you. What you got on it, babe?
Well, I mean, me as a perfectionist, not that you're not, because you are a perfectionist. However, I'm so worried about, okay, so we need to do this because it's the right thing to do. We need to fix that. No, we need to redo it because we are trying to please. I wanted to make sure that nobody had nothing negative to say.
Really? Is that why?
Yeah, nobody to have that.
Okay.
Now, why in the hell did they put this out? Why they didn't do that? Because me, I had my patience like this short, trying to explain something to somebody, and I might, Twitter bomb or whatever they call it, Twitter finger, face, whatever it is, IG finger, gangster. But I'm not IG gangster anyway. But anyway, I didn't want to have to go through explaining that and combating that. But, at the end of the day, because first off, she kept saying, but it's perfect. Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. And me and Darylyn looking like,
what did she see?
What lens did you look out of to see that one? But at the end, as we talked it out, discussed it, and then we came to a really good compromise. So, not to dwell on it too much. Hopefully, you all go and check it out now.
Check it out, y'all.
Because get the message, not the view. Get the message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
That's what this podcast
We're not
is
perfect.
for.
We're not
To
perfect.
show that in life, just do you, be you. Things will happen, but you got to do it anyway. Mistakes will happen, but I couldn't. They wanted to redo it, and I knew my level of authenticity wouldn't be the same. I don't want to rehearse authenticity. Does that make sense? Like, they had good ideas and good reasoning as to why we needed to redo it, but I know me. If I redo something, I've been on social media a long time having to just do stuff for business. And when I mess up and have to redo it, every time I redo it again, my energy goes down, down. It's just not as filled with the positive energy and everything that I was bringing the first time. It's always the best. So I was going to do it because they wanted to do it, but I was just praying my energy would be the same because it was so good. Y'all, it was good.
What is that? That's just like asking the DJ to redo a whole mix again. And I'm like, are you crazy? I can't do that all over again.
The
same way with the same feelings. So I thought about that too.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I thought about that. I was like, well, how can we make the best of it?
Yeah.
Looking at it with the glass half full.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I'm for. So
what we got today?
Yeah. So let's talk about what do you think about people pleasing, babe? Like, where do you think your people pleasing started? Because that's one of the things that we had in common heavily. So where do you think it started with you? Why you became a people pleaser?
Childhood experiences. I think growing up, this will probably be the first time I say this publicly. Right, growing up, I always felt a disconnect from family, right? Always, just something wasn't right. Continue to listen to episodes, we might get to that reason why, right? But as I started growing up, I wanted the acceptance from, dad, mom, but what child really doesn't? You know what I mean? And I think that carried over time, that I never just really grew out of that and started doing things just to appease and please others, like never saying no. Right? Because not that I couldn't do it. Sometimes I really didn't want to do it. But if you didn't want to do something when you were younger, and when we were growing up, you go and get a switch off a tree, you go and get a belt, you get in that hand, something is about to get put on you because you're not able to say, I really don't want to, or no, I don't want to. Is you better? And this is why. And so I think over the years, there could have been a better resolve of being able to express that feeling that, man, dad, or or whomever, I'm not just talking about mom and dad. I mean, because this transcended all the way to being an adult, just saying no, but I didn't want to disappoint anybody at all. I never want people to feel bad, but it had to take me being an adult and really digging in and finding out my own self-identity to realize that no, I can say no and it's okay. And no matter if I do something well, you still get talked about. You do something bad, you get talked about. There's like no level of the the talk aboutness, if that's a word. There's no level to it. It's you going somebody has something to say no matter what it is that you do.
That's right. I agree with that.
What about you?
Talked aboutness. Talked aboutness.
Talked aboutness.
So I think that people pleasing with me came about in childhood as well. Being the oldest in my home with a different father than myself. I felt like things were different. They may not have been, but at the time when I was younger, I felt like they were different. I knew I was loved as I look back as an adult, because I do a lot of self-reflection and have done a lot of healing since then. But when I think back to childhood, I think back to not feeling loved, even though I knew I was loved, because I look back and I'm like, there are things that I could remember in which I'm like, dang, I was loved, but I didn't feel it at the time. I didn't feel accepted. It wasn't just something in the home. It was at school. It was at church. It was different places. And so just wanting people to like me, wanting people to love me just because, excuse me, just because it's me, without saying, oh, you made this mistake. Oh, you did this. Because I think for me, if I made a mistake, excuse me, if I made a mistake, it was the love was withdrawn. That's how I felt, even though it may not have been the case. And so my thing was, I didn't want to feel that withdrawal. I always wanted to feel loved. And I don't think I even knew what I needed back then. But now that I am older, I needed more words of affirmation to feel that love, more physical touch to feel that love. And so because that was pretty much non-existent, the only words that I remember getting more often were words of correction and criticism. So I didn't get the positive, oh, you're doing a great job, or oh, I think you're beautiful, or oh, I didn't get any of that. It was always what I wasn't doing right. So I get it, because parents and people, they give you what they can give, right? So I felt like if I was perfect and if I just did it exactly how somebody else wanted me to do it, then they wouldn't have a reason to not accept me or a reason to withdraw their love. They would just love me. And it's just something about being loved. It's a safety and a peace that comes along with it. That's like, man, I got your back no matter what. And I was longing for that feeling as a child. And so as I became an adult, it never changed. I was like altering myself to be what I thought people wanted me to be, so that I could feel that safety and that peace, that if whatever happens in life, somebody is going to be there, whether I mess up or whether I get it right. And so it didn't pan out well for me, to be honest with you.
Well, you can also look at it too. If you dig a little deeper, you could talk about, we didn't like rejection.
Oh man.
And then conflict.
Still don't.
And then conflict. You know me, when you met me, like I'm like conflict resolution. Like that's big in a lot of people's family.
Yes.
We just can't resolve conflict well, because nobody wants to hear the truth.
Right.
Right? Pretty much everybody is like that. The majority of people.
Majority of people are like that. Right? Yep. Depending on who it's coming from too.
Right. And so, as I stated earlier, like that kind of takes away of your self-identity. In addition to you have a tendency to put somebody else's situation over your own well-being when you're saying, yes, I want to, yes. And God knows I'm not a yes man. You know, like even in business, I can, man, that is not. But when it comes to the relationship piece, it's like, yeah, man, I got it. That's back in the day. Don't try me now. Don't try me. Don't try me.
Yeah,
We just
life
talking.
changes.
We're on the healing side of things, but this is kind of why I think this is a great topic to discuss and share, because I know there's somebody out there that probably have experienced that. So how did you get over
How to get over people
it?
pleasing?
Yeah.
Then I had to learn to love myself. Because like you said, you begin to put somebody else above yourself because why? Obviously, you don't think that you have worth
Right.
or value. So I began to learn to love myself. And that, at first, I attached the love for myself to what I did or how much money I made or how successful I was career wise. Because I thought that that would give me the love too, or the I'm proud of you statements from people that meant the most to me. But I realized when that is all gone, who am I? Who am I, just raw Tashell without any of those extra surface things? And that's when I had to really dig into who I am in Christ. That's my true identity. And just learning more about Christ and knowing that who he is in me. And so I began to love myself from there and create boundaries, set boundaries with people, whether it's telling them no. But then for me, I still feel like there's still a little bit of people pleasing because it depends on who it is. Because if I tell people no, I feel like I over explain myself as to why I'm telling them no sometimes.
Right.
Versus just saying flat out no.
Right.
Because I'm thinking, oh, I don't want them to think blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But yeah, learning to say no, even with my time and my energy, I've learned what I can withstand as far as if I want to talk to people early in the morning or not. I don't like starting my day talking to people unless it's you or somebody in this house, because I like starting my day with God, because you don't want to deal with me if I don't start my day with God.
I get ridiculed. I'm in the bed sleep. And as soon as I wake up and roll over, and I just, I'm ESPN kind of guy. I roll over and click on some ESPN to see what's going on with Stephen A. and everybody. And, first take. But she comes in the room.
I don't do that, babe.
Okay, what you do?
I've asked you. See, I'm better. I've asked you.
See,
babe,
you did do that. So I'm acting out.
Did.
Yeah, okay. I'm acting out.
I did. I used to be like, so I'm like, when do you talk to God?
Well, yeah, when do you talk to God? Like,
like I know you not start your morning with Stephen A. Like
how can you do
how
that?
can you do that? I don't know how.
I don't know how I do it. It's just, I just do it. I mean, it doesn't make me. So what are boundaries? Like, what are they? And then
Communicate them.
Yeah. Like, so what are boundaries? How do you define boundaries?
But me putting parameters around things that are important to you when it comes to your well-being. So like I mentioned, it could be your energy, your time. Because you allow people to take up space. How you allow people to take up space in your world. So for me, I'm very particular with my time and my energy. If I know, that's one of the things, like Chris always says, oh, I can't be spontaneous with you. And it's because I have to plan how I'm going to spread out my energy for the day. I do. So if I know I'm going somewhere later on, then I won't have so many phone calls. Like I won't talk to a lot of people on the phone or put a whole lot of moving around and activity in my day, because I want my best energy to go to whatever it is that we have going on. And so that's a boundary for me. Even though he thinks, oh, she's just not spontaneous, I'm protecting my energy so that I can give my best energy to my time with you. I don't want to be out and I'm tired or I'm sleepy. To me, it's pointless. And whatever we're doing is not enjoyable, Right. So that's a boundary that I have, just letting me know in advance what we're doing. so I can prepare myself
Okay.
as to how to prepare myself, because I'm an introvert. So that's why I said not have as many conversations, because depending on who I'm talking to, and it could be great conversation, but extremely deep conversation 2 or 3 times in one day, I'm out for the count. I have I have nothing else to say, to give. So that's boundaries for me. And a lot of people don't know how to respect boundaries because they don't have boundaries for themselves.
Right.
And so when you tell them no, or you say, no, I can't do that, or no, I don't want to take phone calls about this, or phone calls, period, before this time in the day, they're like, who are you to say I can't reach you at that time?
Right.
But they don't understand. Like, for me, it's all about my mindset. I am in the mode of recovering from a whole lot in my life. Going from a negative mindset to a positive mindset. That's a daily routine that has to be in place for me to show up
Right.
how I like to show up in a day. And so that's more important to me than somebody else feeling rejected by me because I set a boundary,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I
So
think I like you've never had a problem setting boundaries. Never.
I actually did before I met you.
Okay, so see, but when you met me,
Oh yeah, before you, I had a
yeah,
problem with
me,
it.
and so understanding from a guy who really didn't have no boundaries for the most part, right?
True.
It looked like rejection, but
Gotcha.
that's what it looked like. Because even so, all of y'all who probably were her clients, right?
Oh God,
I
I know what's coming.
I could pop up to a job, hey man, just came to see you, blah blah blah, and this stare comes across her face, like I am with my client. She didn't say that, but that's what her face said. I'm with my clients, and you could detect the energy, and it's respected because she wanted to make sure she was giving that one-on-one to all of her clients. But I'm like, in my mind, y'all know, so, in my mind always talking to itself. Like, the hell with them clients. This is me. You know what I mean? It's me. You know?
Yeah.
But as time went on, I started to understand, and it helped me start setting more boundaries, because I think not setting boundaries causes you to have mental and physical deterioration.
Yes, I agree with that.
Period. And because we're just overextending ourselves to other people, and that just takes a toll. And ever since, now that I've started setting boundaries, the past 6-7 years, like pre-COVID, things have gotten a whole lot better. Health, uh just being more in tune to what's going on in the world, and not just going here and there and doing this and that, and taking every gig as a DJ, and taking every job, through Thrive, and being at every event with BPM, like I'm spread it thin, and then I have my family, and so I think when Cadence started to get older and the kids were involved, I think that's when it's like, okay, I got to put these boundaries in place, because I got to make sure I'm here. And it worked itself out. And that was all God. I know it was, because sometimes he has to sit you down
Yeah.
to make, okay, this boundary number one, boom. Now connect this dot. And he puts you in a space to where, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to stay. How do I operate in this space? So that's kind of how I got myself into kind of setting boundaries.
I like that. I like the fact that you said that it will mentally and physically deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true, because when you half the people we were trying to please could care less about us. That's the crazy part. Could care less. And honestly, I think in my days of people pleasing, people don't want people don't really attract to people who, first of all, are not authentic. Because I believe I lost my identity in trying to please people to gain their love and their acceptance. So people don't really attract to people who are not authentic and who they are. And when I begin to be authentic, more people attracted to me. And then I was like, oh, please don't, because I don't accept everybody in my circle.
Right.
I remember wanting so many friends and always wanting to be invited to everything. And want to have a whole lot of people at my birthday party. And now I'm like, I don't want that. And it's so crazy because last year, I think Chris had the mentality of I don't think we communicated that things had changed regarding my level.
Yeah, we didn't check in.
Yeah, we did check in.
Just FYI, you got to check in.
Checking in
with your friends, homies, family, spouse, partner, however you want to put it. You have to check in at least what was it, every 5 years?
They say
every 5 years, but you really need to check in. We need producer. We need to start thinking. We need to come up with something checking in, because that word's been floating around all day today.
Yes, you got to check in.
We got to check in. We got to check in with each other
stuff, because he planned my birthday for last year. And I mean, I enjoyed everybody that came. I thanked them and I love them. But that wasn't what brought me joy anymore. And I was wondering, like, why? I enjoyed it, but we had a powwow like right after, and we talked about everything. And it didn't dawn on me that he was basically giving me what I would have wanted years ago. Because things changed. You know, pandemic, we couldn't celebrate anyway. So it was like pre-pandemic, things in me had totally changed as far as how I wanted to celebrate, who I wanted to celebrate with, what it looks like for me. Like, I'm totally out of party mode. As much music as I love to dance. I don't want to be anywhere where I have to yell over music. Like, that's just not me anymore. And so I think that was a reality check to be like, okay, we're changing. You know, we're growing. We like different things. So, but yeah, that people pleasing thing was very heavy on both of us, because I think it causes you to be dishonest about what you really want to do. And in our marriage, it caused some challenges as well, because I didn't want him telling me yes and he really didn't want to say yes.
Right.
I really wanted him to tell me the truth about whatever it was, and to know that you can do that. I'm still going to love you. I'm not going to go away. And a lot of times I knew that he didn't really want to do something. He never told me no. Like, tell me, that's not human to never say no, even though you're my husband.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I wanted truth from you a lot of times. And I felt like I'm the type of person, I love truth. And so I give truth. And a lot of times it's not received. I've worked and prayed on my delivery of the truth, because that's how I love. But for me, that's how I receive love too. I'm the type of person, if I have a booger in my nose, tell me that I have a booger in my nose.
Is there another word?
I mean, whatever it is, baby, what is it? I know you got it, Dr. Williams.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
What?
I just really wanted to know where that term coined, where did it come from?
Anyway, tell me that I have a booger in my nose or lipstick on my teeth. Like, I know that's uncomfortable, but tell me, would you want me walking around grinning and smiling in people's faces and I have lipstick on my teeth? Like, and I've been in situations, you've never done that to me.
Okay,
but I've had situations where people have done that to me, and I'm like, they were standing there talking to me all that time and they didn't tell me I had lipstick on my teeth. So that's how I feel about life. Tell me something to make me better. Don't just let me walk around like that. But a lot of people don't receive it. And so I felt like there were times where you were withholding the truth from me. Number one, you knew I didn't like rejection. You knew everything I had been through in my childhood. Right. And a lot of it had to do with you didn't want to hurt my feelings. But I get over hurt feelings. I'd rather truth be told to me. And we eventually, worked through that.
Yeah, we definitely worked through that.
He found a way to be truthful with me without being afraid to hurt my feelings, even though, I mean, I'm so blessed to have you to even consider my feelings, because I know there are a lot of circumstances where people don't care
Right.
about how they deliver things. But yeah, people pleasing has had me in some relationships I shouldn't have been in.
Right.
Just because I wanted somebody, you know, and I would compromise. People pleasing, you compromise your values and beliefs of how you do life. And I've been a church girl all my life, and have compromised my beliefs and my values of how I truly would like to do things, because I felt like if I stood up for what I really wanted, they would leave me.
Right.
But that all is tied into self-love and self-value and self-worth, and knowing that, okay, if they leave, they weren't meant to be with me in the first place. And I think that's where I was. That was where I was mentally when I met you. I had gone through so much that I was done. And that's why those boundaries were like heavy in place.
Yeah, they were tough. They were like what you put them little carpet robot, what the thing's called?
Oh, I don't know.
What we call ours?
Mouse.
Mouse. Our little mouse. Them what them sharks. They had a little, you gotta put the magnets in areas where you don't want it to go
Mm-hmm.
to keep it away from destroying
Mm-hmm. Same.
things that you have that are important. Right. So that analogy really resonates with itself. Because we had some things we had to work through, because of, boundaries either being in place or not being in place, because there was a level of understanding that we didn't have. So my question to you is, what kind of advice would you offer on empowering that space?
Oh man. My advice would be to know that people are imperfect. People change. They they change with the wind. They can. Their emotions, the way that they feel, their moods. And so really just trying to please people with your actions by just doing everything that they want you to do is not going to work. It makes you really step outside of who God created you to be. You compromise who you are at your core. It's not worth it, because it takes you down a path that is destructive to yourself. And so no one should want to keep somebody around who's a people pleaser. They're a user. Number one, if they keep you around, if you're just doing everything to please them and to make them happy. But I would say, look within, search yourself to see where you are not feeling worthy or of value, and that you're not loving yourself. Because when you give up that much of yourself for someone else, there's definitely a lack of love. So find your identity. Find your identity. Love who you are, flaws and all. I mean, everything about yourself. Love yourself, because you've been made in God's image and there's only one you. So people will like it or they won't. There'll be people who love you and people who won't. That's a part of life. But you only want those around who love you anyway, and tell you the truth and give you everything that you need to continue to grow and thrive in life. But always be yourself, because being yourself, you will attract your tribe. Authenticity always attracts your tribe. And you don't want anything else. Now, trust me, I have my tribe. It's very small, and I don't talk to everybody all the time. They know me for me. They love me for me, and vice versa. But stop it today, because you won't be happy. As you're pleasing them, you're stealing and robbing yourself of your own joy. So that would be my advice. What would be your advice to someone who's struggling with it?
Well, first is understanding to have, and it may sound very minute to a lot of people because they may know to do this, but understand your, I guess having self-acceptance of yourself. Because the one thing that you want to do is have balance. And I think a lot of us don't live in balance. We overdo everything that we do. There's so much of this and so much of this, and then we have nothing left. And God asks, he commands us to live in a balanced life. You've been hearing it all your life. When you eat a balanced diet. Don't overindulge. And so when it comes to and that will create, in my opinion, a healthier lifestyle. In doing that. I feel I guess in a way that the way to go about doing that is setting small boundaries. I believe in seconds turns into years. If you take each second, which turns to a minute, which turns to an hour. I think if you take things in small chunks, you'll end up hitting or reaching goals you probably never thought you would ever reach in life before. And I'm telling you this because no one ever told me this growing up. I just had to watch people, and then someone, you know, men throughout my journey in life have come to me as mentors, has kind of threw that into and distilled that into me, is to do things in small chunks. Sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't. I'm human. I come from a place. I'm from Prairie View. Well, not from there, but and when in the band, you know, I was in the band fraternity at KK and we were notorious for creating a step show in 2 weeks and realistically killing it. But I was okay with that because that's how I used to live my life. Like
Sporadic.
Man, let's put this show together. Even getting all this stuff set up.
Yeah, eat
for
me up on the inside.
for the podcast.
They're laughing.
I mean, I did it last night.
Yes, he did. Actually, today.
Through the wee hours of the morning. Some people work well in that space, and it's okay. But I don't do it all the time. There's a balance to that, right? There is a big balance, because I tell you what, when I don't want to do anything, what do?
You don't do it.
I do not do it. Don't ask me. I'll tell you maybe next time, or I'll get to it eventually. But
you don't tell me nothing.
What'd you say?
You don't tell me anything. Let me tell you what happened.
You my wife.
Well, the other day, what was it, something I kept saying about this podcast? Because he's been really busy and he's just gotten some time to actually, put some energy toward it. But I said, babe, we need to do the cover photo for YouTube, the cover photo for Facebook. And I was just telling him some things to do graphic wise because that's his area. And he didn't say anything. And I know I've mentioned it like twice. And so eventually when I said it to him, he was like, I'm not in the space. I'm not in the creative space to do that.
Right.
And I was thinking, why didn't you say that the first time I said it?
Because I probably was in the creative space at that time. But other things took priority.
Right. But he didn't say anything to me. And I just was like, and I didn't say anything at the moment. But I just wanted to tell you, it's okay to communicate that to me. Because if you say nothing, I don't know what that means. I don't know if you heard me. Because if I'm saying it and you don't do it and there's no response, I don't know what that means. But if you verbally tell me,
I get it.
Babe, not right now, or maybe tomorrow,
But I couldn't. I like to give definitive answers.
Okay.
And so therefore, that's why I didn't say anything, because I couldn't give you a definitive answer. But I should have said, well, no, I'll do it when I didn't want to. I'll do it when I get to it. Like that sounds that would piss anybody off if they say something like that. To me, it would. Like, what you mean? So
get it.
I was just quiet until I was able to prioritize and be like, okay,
not in the creative space,
right? Just like I know there's things I still have to get done with the podcast, but once we got the ball rolling, and I'm like, okay, let me get this done because we need this. Just being able to prioritize. You know, I was bad with that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just, I am a living witness of not setting boundaries and not prioritizing and not living in balance. This wasn't me. Okay. But now this is the new me. I'm balanced.
Yeah. Stay in harmony, because it's hard
Stay
to
in harmony.
balance.
Yeah, it's hard.
The harmony is good, because sometimes it's okay to have a little bit more, just that.
Right.
But yeah, you have grown a lot. And even in handling today with this last minute, in his mind it wasn't, but in my mind, I'm
It was
thinking
last minute to me.
I was thinking, you knew we were gonna do this.
I'm a Capricorn.
I was like, why did he wait till today, Lord? But then I said, this is him. He's gonna work it out. Let me take my boundaries off of him. Because I would have been a nervous wreck. I wouldn't have been able to give energy to this actual podcast if I get up the morning of a day of and do everything that you did. See, I would have been depleted. So therefore I would have done this a little bit each day. So that's just the difference in how we do things. But I said, wait, let me not project who I am onto who he is. He works his best.
I'm at
in this way.
under pressure.
So,
I am at my best.
let him do his thing. I know time is passing, but God's gonna work it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, you enjoyed it?
I enjoyed
You
it.
doing our check-in? You giving me your thoughts?
Am I checking in?
Yeah, you giving me your thoughts of the podcast. You just jumped on into it. Give it to me.
What did I jump into?
Go ahead. You just like, I enjoyed this podcast.
I did.
Tell me more.
Well, I was just gonna say I was checking it. Well, it like I said, talking is therapy, right?
Yeah.
Good conversation is healthy. So when there's some things, that I think when you're in a space of positivity, you can actually share things and people don't take things the wrong way. Right. And so being able to receive it is different. I couldn't come to her when she all teed off. If you watch the last episode on our 5-hour drive, you wouldn't, I couldn't tell her that you need to live in balance. No, I couldn't tell her that. No, but and so in spaces like this, when it's safe, right? And we're communicating, but also letting others know that this is sometimes the way that we need to most definitely. I don't know how many more definitelys I can give you, but we really, really need to understand about living in balance. And then to do that is by setting boundaries. By doing that is prioritizing your mental health and your physical health, because that's critical. Trust me, as we go on through these series of podcasts, you'll understand the mental side that we both experience. You'll understand the physical side, health-wise, that, we've overcome. Some of y'all may know Tashell's story, but, I have a story of my own in that respect that's recent. So, I'll give all glory to God in that. But I want to check in with you, what you thought about it.
I thought it was good. I think, man, just to be on the other side of people pleasing, it feels really, really good. And to be able to hopefully help you all who are listening to have a different perspective of what people pleasing really comes from and how to change it, how to get out of it. And you'll feel that rejection once you start to speak up for yourself. Mm-hmm. And once you step into your true identity of being unique, you will lose some people, but you'll gain the right people. Huh?
That's a good one.
Yeah, you will lose some people. And they may even be blood related and family too. But that's okay. It's okay, because when you really get those people that love you for you, being you, your unique self, is so fulfilling. It's so full of joy. So to be able to overcome that is something we don't talk about often. You know, we see it in each other. Because I remember you always having different people around you when we met, because I think you had that inner, I just want people around me. If, you know, I want them to love me. Like you said, just no boundaries whatsoever. And it feels good to see you. I didn't realize that you really have put a lot of boundaries in place to protect yourself first and foremost, and protect us and our
Right.
family and your well-being. So I'm glad that we talked about this today, because I really hadn't thought about all the changes that you've made,
Yeah.
you know,
And
regarding it.
right. And I mean, in all transparency, through, even through this journey, by not doing that, I know I've hurt some people in this. Just being in a space that I really didn't want to be in, the reactions and things that come from not being in right spaces, in certain spaces. And not to be, super specific, but there's some, I'm not perfect by all means. There are some things that, I look back and I'm like, man, I apologize, for my actions, my ways, things that I've probably said. But I had to lay them at, uh, just turn that all over to God. And, hopefully, those people, forgive me, things. But then there's also flip side that I've been done like that too,
Yeah.
multiple times, many ways. But not to, shine a light on any of that, but just know that it's been a process, right? And so I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, well, because you could really take this conversation and turn it into the toxic relationship point of view. But I have I'm a music guy. I'm a DJ. So if you had to pick a song, now if you don't know, it's fine, because I got
no,
one
we're not doing this.
that's relative, that's relative to what we talked about today. What would you say?
What song?
What song? If you don't, I'll help you. But I was sitting here thinking,
You need some of my water?
no,
You sure?
I'm positive. I have some water over there.
That's what I mean. I have some if you need some.
Mm.
Okay. Um, a song that's relatable to people pleasing and setting boundaries. Oh gosh. Well, you put me on the spot with this one. What you have? Why don't you go first so I can think?
Well, I mean, I really didn't have anything,
You didn't. You just
but
asked me a
no,
question.
no. I mean, so I think about this. Just I think about Mary J. and all the things she's been.
You have a
So
song that comes to mind
no
though,
more drama.
and not gonna cry too.
And I see, there you go. Now the wheels turning. Now the wheels turning. Yeah, but you think about no more drama, and that's all about not. She was not setting by. When you listen to the lyrics of the song, Um, but yeah, that's kind of. I didn't have much about that, but I just wanted to, you know, from a music side of things, this is, in case you didn't know, that this is how artists write.
Absolutely.
This is, they come from these kind of places and they tell you their story. The majority, all right, is real, you know, especially when you think about R&B, you think about soul, et cetera, et cetera. Not to get off on a tangent, but these are real. When you listen to these artists and you listening to their lyrics and what they're saying, omit the beat. Just listen to the lyrics. You'll find out a lot about a person, a artist, if they're the ones who actually wrote their music, or if this song that was written was relative to them.
Right.
Yeah, I can relate to this. This is who I am. So just wanted to add that piece.
You're right. That's a lot of times why we like the music that we like too.
Absolutely.
Because
It's related.
especially when you're unhealed
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts and your emotions have a voice now. So you continue, you play it over and over. It becomes a part of, oh my gosh, that's why I love that.
Yeah.
That's why what is that? Heard it all before, sunshine. Every time I hear that, everybody's come out. Hey. So it's giving a voice to somebody, tapping
Right.
my shoulder, because everybody can relate.
Right.
You know, you done came home late and all that, but music is powerful in that aspect.
And at the end of it all, guess what Mary has now? Peace. She
Boundaries.
She has peace.
There's some boundaries. I love that. Ended it up.
More?
Yeah, you got some closing remarks?
I'm good, Mom.
I'm done.
Good. Well, we definitely want to thank everybody for joining us today. I don't, as I'm thinking as we're closing,
Let me tell the people how to interact with us.
I was going to tell you to go ahead and this. Since you
I was reading your mind, huh?
boss said.
I'm not bossy.
I'm boss said. I don't know the words.
Anyway, please interact with us and follow us at YouTube, TikTok, and IG, Catch_22 Podcast, and on Facebook, Catch22 Podcast. We want to hear what you think. Give us questions, give us topics, all of the above, because we want to talk to y'all. We want to interact. This is not just a space for us to share, but we want you to share as well so we can connect with you. But until next time, we'll see you later. This was epic, y'all.
Definitely. Thanks for watching another episode of the Catch22 Podcast featuring Cruize and Tashell.
We really hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you felt empowered, inspired, and connected to our journey in some type of way. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next one. And remember to tell your story because it definitely changes lives.